ice cap thawed all the way to the top last summer, 10,000 feet. The Gulf Stream is diffusing. The westerlies are diffusing. Our weather is changing. Our weather is changing more and more. And let's get another unfortunate fact straight here. We have 40% of our representatives here in this building that deny this. They say this is a hoax. They're denying the youth their future. But I'll tell you, you're not going to get anywhere with your anger and disrespect. You need to start meeting with our representatives, especially the youth. Be organized. Talk from your heart. Have a heart-to-heart. Talk about your children, your future children you want. Talk about your environment and your jobs. Talk to them. Talk to them. Talk to their constituents. Don't get angry. Don't get disrespectful. You're not going to get anywhere that way. But we need to bring these individuals on board here to get this going. That's what we're all about here today. It's about leadership. About getting this energy bill passed here. Creating jobs. Jobs and investment. We want to get rid of this $20 billion a year fossil fuel bill that we all pay here. We want that clean jobs for our kids. That's what this is about. But we do have good leadership in this state. It's the Mark Dayton administration. They're backing us, but we still need to shove a little bit more though. So keep it going. I'm here to introduce my good friend, Mark Dayton, Governor Dayton. He took on the climate issues at the state of the state, which wasn't a real politically good move, because the pollsters told him not to do it. But he did it because it was the right thing. That's what he told me. It's the right thing to do this. And I'm going to introduce you to my good friend, Mark Dayton.
Marching here in the rain too. I was very impressed. 20 years ago, I would have thought seriously about joining you. But speaking of time, you know, it's hard for me to believe that first Earth Day was 43 years ago, which was time I was teaching in New York City, and most of you were not born. It seems hard to believe that it's going that quickly, although my father says time flies when you're having fun and even when you're not. But our focus back then was to end the Vietnam War. And it was Gaylord Nelson and Dennis Hayes and others who, by staging Earth Day, were sending us the message, you know, you could end the war and lose the planet. And so Earth Day began, and so much good has come from shifting that focus. But it's never been easy. You know, every problem related to environmental contamination has been denied, and every solution has been opposed. You know, we remember when President Reagan put Ann Buford in charge of the Environmental Protection Agency. 1981, again before some of you were born. But same thing with appointments for the previous 20 years to the MPCA, heading that. People have more in common with the polluters than with the people. And who let the jobs in federal or state, they move right into industry positions. That's different now.
Thank you.
But fortunately, throughout that time here in Minnesota, we've had the benefit of visionary legislative leaders, people like Lieutenant Governor Yvonne Pregnor-Solon, Senator Ellen Anderson, now Senator John Marty, and Representative Melissa Hartman, our carry. My friend Will Steger has been such a champion of this cause. He's traveled to the North Pole and to the South Pole just to get himself mentally tough enough to take on the utility lobbyists. And so many of you who've been involved many, many years, and you know your presence here today and your touchy base with terrific leaders like Paul Dayton, our Speaker, and others, and the TFL majorities in the House and Senate is going to be just crucial to this legislation. And you know, it's sad to say that the principal opponents to Senator Marty and Representative Portman's legislation are the utilities. The people who provide us with electricity. The people who you think being experts we can look to and depend upon to help us guide us on the way to a better solution. But unfortunately, that's not the case. You know, I learned about the co-op Minn who tells their customers every month on a monthly statement with an item that says renewable energy charges that wind and other renewables cost too much. But it turns out when you explore with them what's the basis for that line, they made some bad investments, including some bad investments buying wind at a high price, and now they got to sell at a low price. But they don't admit it was their mistakes that caused that problem. They try to pawn it off on renewables and also set renewables back as a result. Great River Energy, same thing. They talk about 2010 renewable energy costs were $20 million higher than over market prices. 2012 costs were $40 million higher. But what you never hear, and I owe this to my dedicated associate Ellen Anderson, she said, you almost never hear the Great River say that coal is costing their taxpayers even more. Their ratepayers, sorry, their ratepayers. Great River built a new coal plant in 2012 in North Dakota, and right after construction, they mothballed the plant, which cost over $425 million to build. That's the part of the story that doesn't get told. Now, of course, North Dakota, the state of North Dakota, is suing us, the state of Minnesota, because they want to build 2 more coal-fired plants right on their eastern border, right on our western border of the whole state downwind. And of course, we're opposing that strongly. The Attorney General is opposing that strongly, but you know that's what we're still up against. Before we can make progress, we have to stave off being pushed even farther back, which is why, again, your presence here today is so vitally important. You know, I'm long ago, for a long time in the Senate and elsewhere, been asked or heard, you know, we don't have an energy policy in this country. And I always say, well, I disagree. Our energy policy is to try to hang on to the status quo for as long as possible. And, you know, surprise, surprise, that a transition to a cleaner energy future, you know, may cost in the short term a few extra dollars. As any transition, there's something well established and something new is bound to do. But the question is, will Minnesotans support what's necessary to make that transition? And the polls show overwhelmingly they will. And it's because of people like you, because of dedicated citizens and leaders like you, that there is that support, that there is that understanding. And we're going to build on that from here, and we're going to move forward. I would like to see Minnesota, after this session and after the Marty Hortman legislation passes, set a goal of eliminating all power from coal-fired plants by and I'll let you pick the year. But I think, again, we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our children, we owe it to our grandchildren to look for ecologically sustainable, environmentally renewable, energy replenishable sources of electricity and others, and And if we put our ingenuity all together, we'll find it. Thank you very much.